All right.
Okay, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. It looks like 2020 is finally past us. Definitely looking forward to a happier and better 2021. But the show is just to kind of get you guys on here. Just kind of talk about obviously the best moments from 2020 and also just talk about the league so far with our teams, especially as games have been played already. And we've had some positive results and we've had some negative ones. So I'm just going to open the floor, man. So I don't know who really wants to start the rants. I know as has been on, as he was the first person on call.
Okay.
I think he's been signed on since like I think it was 5:30.
I got something to say.
Therapy.
Yeah, you have a lot to talk about right now, don't you?
I got something to say. All right, so
that makes sense though. You know, like the league, you started early, right? But it's like you try to.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
we're gonna have to switch positions next week if we do this call.
Oh geez, actually,
go ahead, laugh it up. Go ahead.
You know what's so funny?
Go ahead, laugh it up, bro.
There is actually a way you can change the screens too in order. So maybe we might have to put you last, Eze. I'm just kidding. So like Eze, how you feeling about the 3-1 loss to City today?
All right, man. So I guess here we go. Listen, I wrote down a few bullet points on here. All right, I like being formal when I speak. One, Lampard has no real style of play. Like I don't. When you say Frank Lampard's your coach, what does that mean? Like what?
The hexagon.
The
hexagon.
Hey, let me finish. This isn't a roasting session. All right, I gotta get my point across. All right. First of all, style of play, right? I don't think really has a good understanding of what style of play like we're going to play, right? Two, he was playing a lot of players out of position. Not necessarily today, but oftentimes he's playing Werner on the left, Werner on the right. One time he was playing Mount on the left. A lot of players play out of positions they don't normally play, right? Next one is our signings. Mainly these two German guys. Can't remember what their names are. They're playing terribly, man. Dog, Werner is offering nothing, bro. Like, there's times where the ball's about to go in the net, and he kicks it out of the net. Like, what do we do? And then
Did you see today when he tries to take the corner real quick and like?
I know, and he kicked the flag.
I felt so bad, man. I was like, wow.
And then lastly, I with all that being said, I have no real allegiance to Frank Lampard. He's a great player for us in the past, but I'm not British. I don't owe him anything more. So if he's not performing, we should think about changing the management. That's all I
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, Eze, because this really irks me. Why? Because this was I think your second point. He's playing players out of positions. I'm not even talking about Werner. Because even Joachim Low doesn't know where to play Werner on the German national team. So put that to the side. Conte. Mm-hmm. How do you take the best center defensive holding midfield player in the league and you try to shoehorn him into a cam?
Into a center. Yeah, I don't understand it either. Conte can do the center defensive mid position by himself. He doesn't need anything else. He can do it by himself. Right, and for some reason he likes to play Jorginho. Oftentimes he wants to play what's the other guy's name now? I can't remember.
Pulisic, the American.
No, not the American.
Ziyech?
Kovacic or Ziyech.
Yeah, he's trying to shoehorn all these different players right into the middle of the pitch, and it just doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know what exactly he's going for. That's what really upsets me the most. I don't see where the vision is.
So, I will say, right, in Lampard's defense, and I mean, I'm being serious here, is that like Arteta and Lampard, first-time managers, they kind of learn on the job, right? Mm-hmm. And you're taking a team that, you've signed, 6 players this summer, right? Including one bona fide star in Havertz, right? It's tough to get it right, especially the Premier League is one of the toughest leagues to kind of, figure it out right on the go. And so I think I think that's the struggle, right? I think Chelsea shouldn't have gone with an inexperienced manager when they're putting a star team together. They should have
Exactly.
gone out and got an experienced guy in
Like that's what
and let Lampard learn, right?
Mhm. No, I completely agree with you.
Gerrard's learning, right?
Yeah,
Like
I completely agree with what you're saying, bro. Like if it's like in any other kind of job, right? If I was a CEO of a company, right, I wouldn't be like, okay, let me find this new grad out of college to run my entire company. It doesn't make any sense. If I want someone that's experienced, that's been there before, because as a Chelsea supporter, we don't have the time to be allowing you to learn on the job. Like, you know, who knows how long the learning process will take, and we don't have the time to wait for that, right? So at certain points, we have to say, you know, maybe I have to look somewhere else.
But you know what? The one thing we were talking about that was I don't really feel like I'm not concerned with Chelsea at all. Yes, did they pull the trigger too early with Frank Lampard? I think they did because with the transfer ban, I figured they just felt, you know what, let's just get him in here, get the morale up and see what happens. And then he does well his first season with the youth. And then they decide to just overspend in the market. But I think what I'm not worried about Chelsea is the difference between Chelsea and Manchester United and Arsenal. You actually have an owner who wants to win. What's his name? Ibrahimovic is not going to spend that kind of money and keep a manager there for however long to learn on the job. I feel like Frank Lampard's time is ticking, and I think that's like your saving grace. You know, like you look at United, we have bankers, owners. So as long as the money keeps coming in and we stay that, top 4, top 6 conversation, they're okay. And then you have Arsenal, who I don't even know what the goal of the season is with Arsenal. Is it just to hopefully win the FA Cup? I don't know. But that's my take on Chelsea's. You guys do have an owner who wants to win trophies. So
if I could just touch on that. So I agree with everything you said. Arsenal, I think, is not very different from Chelsea in terms of the owners are not bankers, but Arsenal's not much different from Man U from an ownership perspective. The owners aren't bankers, but they are driven by profits, right? That's why Wenger stayed there for the last 7 years. But this is not a Wenger out conversation, so I'm not going to go there. I think with Chelsea, though, I think it's one of those things where they just overspent in the wrong places. Did you need reinforcements in the attack? Because personally, I'm not sold on Callum Hudson-Odoi. Any player who just Joel knows this. Any player who's just young, fast, and black, that doesn't make you good. You can be young, fast, and black, right? So do they need a little bit of reinforcement in the front? Sure, but to go out and just buy so many of the same types of player, I'm like, Ziyech is not playing in a deep playmaker role. I'm like, that's not Ziyech's game. He's an out-and-out winger. So I think they probably will need to invest. It is good because Chelsea just seems like an unfathomable amount of wealth. And also, I'm not sure how they're not able to get hit by FIFA Fair Play. I really don't understand how that's happening. But Chelsea, I think it's probably a crappy season, but you'll be back faster than a lot of other clubs that we support in the EPL. Arsenal, I'm just saying. I'm an Arsenal fan, Joel. Relax.
Are you?
Joel is torn.
Yeah.
Hey, they just had the Arsenal jersey in the wash. They got tired of wearing it 3 games straight.
From all the tears, blood, sweat, and tears.
They didn't expect to wear the Arsenal jersey for 3 games straight, man.
That's a rip
back up.
With my Arteta out poster that I had to tear up. So
Arteta poster?
Arteta out.
Arteta out. Okay, go.
Not anymore.
So how you guys feeling about Arsenal right now, man? 3 games on the bounce. 3 wins on the bounce. Saka, my G, keeps displaying. So yeah.
The same things we were accusing Arteta of not doing when we lost to Tottenham, he's sort of done now, right? So, we were overloading the left a little too much, right? We had Saka on the left, we had Tierney on the left, and now it's he shifted Saka, but now so Saka's been playing on the right the last few weeks, right? and you've got a bit more balance, right? Like Bellerin doesn't need to come in front and be a waste man as he usually is. Tierney can help support Aubameyang a little bit more, right? You're taking a lot of pressure off of Lacazette. Like Lacazette is actually a really good striker, right? He was just out of form, but you're playing him next to a very lazy Pepe and a completely useless Willian and an out of form Aubameyang. And so you had Lacazette having to drop deep and sort of play this, like false nine, link up player, which is not his game, right? You kind of let him play in the front a little bit more, let him take a shot. One will go in eventually, and he'll get his form back, right? And that's kind of what's happened, right? Martinelli has helped, having a speed demon on the other side, and also it's like these little changes that he sort of made over the last few weeks has helped. Now, in fairness, we haven't beaten anyone special. No offense to Chelsea.
Very rude.
I was gonna say.
Wow.
No, but it's just outside of the Chelsea game, right? In fairness, we haven't really beaten anyone special, so you can't take a lot away from this run. But Arteta has made tactical changes, which we all agreed was a bit out of his depth a few weeks ago. So in that sense, it's been impressive. But I want to see if he can kind of continue to do these things moving forward, because people are going to figure him out. ESR, Emile Smith-Rowe, who's been a revelation, and I don't know why we haven't played him all along. He's young. People are going to figure out his game, right? And people are going to figure out Martinelli's game, and people are going to figure out, Saka on the right. People are going to figure that out, and they're going to make adjustments. The Premier League's notorious for that. So it'll be interesting to see how Arteta can figure that piece out, right? And it's a good time to win 3 on the bounce going into the Jan window. I think we need another center mid to play alongside Partey. If we can get someone up front, another winger, that'd be great, because I think Pepe is probably done. But it's exciting times for Arsenal, but it's at the same time, it's, we've been no one special, so let's not get too excited. I will say, though, we are 3 points off 4th place, which is insane, right?
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know. But it's the hope that kills you, right? So
late title charge, maybe.
Wow! What a way to start.
Hey! You know what?
Yeah.
You know what?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We said Arsenal and United have similar management in terms of who they own. The one difference, though, is that we don't own the referees. So I don't know about
that. Wow.
Hey, listen, that hasn't been proven. So
You know what though? Yeah, United has had the most. They said I think it was 20-something penalties in 2020. That's ridiculous. But I think you got
VAR. How is that possible?
you got to blame it on VAR, right? And it's not our fault that we have some really nice, a striker with quick feet.
To be honest, I think you guys probably dribbled the most from the box, which was my biggest problem with United. But I'm like, you're in the box. Somebody just have a shot. They just they dribble all the way in. Everybody just cut. So it kind of makes sense. Once they start doing replays, any little nick is going to be a peak game. To be honest, I'm one of those people who I'm like, when you start complaining about referees and calls, you've already lost. So I don't knock United for getting this many penalties and blah blah blah. It is kind of funny though. I'm over it. But I'm willing to put a wager that we're going to end up above United at the end of the season. I know you guys are flying high right now with your Solskjaer stuff, but we already know how it goes. So he's about to go 9 games without a win.
Out there in Manchester.
It's a long season.
and you know what? And that's the funny part too, because you don't want. I'm gassed, but at the same time, I can't be too gassed because, like Joe pointed out, as much as we're sitting tied first with Liverpool, which is nice to say, two losses, and we're where Arsenal is, right? So it's not saying that it's a bad position, but it's still you're not fully. Nobody's secure right now. 2 losses, and that's, now you're playing catch up with everybody else.
So let me ask the Man United fans real quickly. Were those wins decisive? Were they a showing of what United can do? Or was it just luck. The other team didn't perform. It was just not the other team. I mean, that 1-0 win just the other day with Rashford's goal. Man, there was nothing really in there that made me feel like United has turned the corner, right? Much like to Jill's point, Arsenal, we won a few, but nothing really. 1-0 this, 1-0 that, and then we blow up Rom, right? It's like, oh, good for us. Yeah. What happens when you come up the city and dude packs the midfield like my boy Eze just experienced this afternoon, with no strikers, no real wingers. I mean, that's fine. Sterling was a winger, but like he played mind games with Lampard. He's like, I'm gonna pack the midfield. What are you gonna do about it? And then Lampard comes out there and says, oh, I'm gonna play Conte as our cam. Okay, there were some moments where the camera, the first 3 goals, the camera did not want to go to Lampard. I kept on looking at Pep Guardiola every single time, just spitting. So I hate City. I'm sure everybody in this call hates City, but I just had to make that comment. They refused to look at Lampard during the press conference. He couldn't even look at the cameras because he is terrified. I don't think there's any coach in the world right now more terrified of their job than Lampard. Tuchel just lost his job, so Lampard obviously came up to the top. But just I want to know, what do you think of the performances of late for Manchester United that led you to be tied at number 1?
Ooh, Charles, you want to go for that one first, or?
Yeah, I will. I'll start. I think if you look at any title, and first of all, before I start this, I just want to say I'm also not getting carried away. But like, if you look at any title winning squad, they're always going to have a couple of games where they really shouldn't have won or deserve to win for whatever reason, and they just manage to grind out a result. I think that's just something you have to learn to do if you're going to win titles. Mourinho is famous for that. So I think regarding the Wolves game, the 1-0, you're always going to also need a bit of luck on your side. I'm still not 100% convinced, because I would say, if we're still in this position by, February or March, then I'll start to be like, maybe we could do it. But it's also just a nice little statistic for us to have at the turn of the year as well. So like, I mean, and also we don't really have many injuries right now. So I would hate to think if certain players got injured, would we still be producing the same, results every game? So, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to get carried away. I do think that with regards to like certain games where they don't necessarily deserve to win, there is a bit of maybe luck on our side, whether you want to call it buying referees or, whatever, deflections, whatever it is. I think any title winning or title challenging team will have those games as well.
That's for real, right? Because even Madrid last year, we came back and won. We were like 1-0, 1-0, like we grinded it out all the way to the end. So But so I just want to follow up with what my boy Eze said, that he doesn't understand what Lampard is playing. But because at the beginning, United fans were saying, what is Ole's plan? What is our style? What is our style of play, right? There's no Fergie time and all that. Do you think there's a style of play now? Is there a definitive way United plays? Have you guys accepted the counterattack, or is there something new?
Pass the ball to Bruno.
Yeah.
No, there's still no style of play, and I think that's where the fan base is still split, right? Because now, if we're at that point where everybody is just so gassed and everyone is just so happy and enjoying the moment that nobody wants to be critical. Now, any little critic that you have is basically your hater. Whether it's on Bruno, whether it's on Ole, whether it's on Rashford, you're just a hater, right? So that's where it's that fine line now. Everybody's just all gassed and everyone's excited. And even me as the hater, I have to be excited too, because at the end of the day, it's about the team, it's about the club, it's not about individuals, right? Just the one thing I will add to Charles's point there too is The one thing that I can take away from these performances that we've had so far, yes, the Bruno's ball to Rashford, which was kind of like, that's what you want to see teams do. You know how sometimes we're about like, the clock is running down, you need a goal, and your defenders are still passing the ball back to each other. And it's like, buddy, man, like get this ball up. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that was the kind of play that you want to see. And then I remember that game, I was looking at Rashford like, please pass this ball, because Rashford doesn't pass. So I was like, please pass this ball. But he took, he made the hard decision, and it was the best decision he made. But the thing that time and time again is the belief in this player. The belief that it doesn't matter how things are going, they can still win. And, that's the same belief that you see in a lot of championship teams. Liverpool last season. How many games did I tune in the morning? Liverpool, 85th minute left. It's tied. The game is tied, or Liverpool's losing the game. And then they bring up the extra sign, and it's 10 minutes extra time. And it's just like, are you kidding me? And what happens? Either Mane, Salah, somebody manages to score in that extra time, right? So to me, that's part of the grind. But the one thing I'll take away from the team is just the belief that they have, is that belief.
I think, I guess the belief is good. It's a good change of tone. I'm going to go back to something Joel had touched on earlier, and I think Jeff also touched on it, and it's like Eze's biggest fear, is the fact that, like, it's because the thing about winning a league, and I'm not saying that Man U is not going to get there. I'm talking all this smack, but if Arsenal were tied with Liverpool for first points, I'd be in Joel's jersey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking tough, but 0-2 and Henry.
Last time, Vieira, player that we still haven't replaced. Last time we won the league.
I'd say in terms of the Arsenal's, I'm not going to call it a resurgence. In terms of Arsenal's week this past 7 days, which is Man U's, I'd say like probably your entire December.
It's the Arsenal game. We haven't lost in the league since the Arsenal game.
Yeah, so you guys have made a massive turn, right? What I will say might be it's just an opinion or a point of view. So it's just like with Arsenal, Arteta has like finally, because our biggest issue is like the squad is just significantly underproducing because of the tactics. Just change the tactics and change the players to shoot them, and he's made that change. And then it's like it's 3 games in a row, blah, blah, blah. We know we haven't played anybody meaningful, blah, blah, blah. And Man U, though, to Jeff's point, it's like if you haven't changed the system and it's just like a grind, Liverpool was grinding out, but it was a defined style of play. They had a starting lineup. They had the first sub, second sub, third sub. Everybody came in. They take players out, put them in. Ox will come in for like 3 games in the season and somehow just fit seamlessly into his role there, right? Do you have the same level of confidence for the second half of the season? Like, do you really feel you turned the corner? Or do you feel like, yes, the team is grinding it out. They're putting up points on the board, which is ultimately their job. So I'm not knocking them for that. But how many more penalties? How long before people start realizing, hey, when Martial goes left, he's probably going to cut right back. So I'm just going to come right and wait for him when he cuts back and not foul him so you don't get your PKs, right? I feel like it's the same kind of issue that Eze was highlighting with Chelsea. Where it's like it's just the same system. Chelsea, to be fair, been playing the hexagon the entire season, right? First half of the season, they were smashing everybody that could breathe, and then people figured out, and then there's no like transition, and then they start going downhill. Same thing with Mourinho. Joel was highlighting this point eloquently on the last podcast was on with him on your last one, where it was like, yeah, eventually people are gonna figure out how to just give them the ball, just give Tottenham the ball. They don't know what to do with it, and then we'll just hit them on the counter, and then they started trashing going downhill as well. So the question is, my follow-up question, Jeff's question is, do you feel confident, aside from the belief and aside from the ability to grind, do you feel like you've actually turned the corner, or are you kind of just hoping to keep this momentum to the end of the season, and then in the summer, like think through new things?
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know, Charles, if you want to go on that one, but for me, I don't feel like we turned. I think the only corner we've turned is just. I would just go back to the belief, man. I think belief does a lot to players, right? And then there is a few missing links in there that we just need to top up. Like, I still believe that United needs a CDM. We need, like, kind of what as I said too for Chelsea is Conte can do that job alone. I believe Fred can do that job. I believe Fred can do it, but Ole doesn't trust him enough and wants to play McTominay. So for me, it's I would say that I feel like we've come a long way. We've come a long way for sure. Even just the way we play, yeah, we don't have a style of playing, but you can see we're not just sideways passing anymore. We're trying to make things happen. But on the other side, to be critical, I still feel we don't have a style of play, because Charles was dying last week because I just went on a Daniel James rant in the game against Leicester City, and I just could not understand what Daniel James was doing on that field. But it's that same thing is we don't really have a style of play. We have, it's great to put two CDMs or two holding midfielders, but if this midfielders can't carry the ball up, what's the point in having them? They're just going to lose it as quick as they retrieve it. And then you have, the players like Bruno. Someone actually made a joke this past week. I think it was against, the game against Aston Villa. And it was like, there is so much space. Actually, no, not the game against Aston Villa. The game before that, I think it was against
Wolves.
What did we play before? Wolves, yeah.
1-0.
Someone actually made a joke about how you can build how many stadiums between the spacing. And what we've been saying from time is because you have the Fred McTominay who just sits deep, and then you have, let's say like Matic plays. When Matic plays against Wolves, he was basically like a center back. That's how deep he was. And then you had Pogba in the middle, doing absolutely nothing. Like he couldn't get the ball because he was there. And then you had Bruno, who is basically hugging Martial at the front. So there isn't that much space. And I think I said in the last podcast is at some point we have to play like a team, not a one-man team, because and it's the same criticism. People think I hate Bruno. I like Bruno, and I think he's done a great job. But you also have to see reality. We've watched football for so long that I can tell what's quality and what's not. You don't want to get to a situation. I think apart from Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Messi, and maybe Ronaldinho, arguably when he played, I've never seen a player who's given so much license to do whatever he wants. Like Bruno could be in the corner flag, he could be in the defensive line. He just roams around, which is okay. We're scoring the goals, he's giving us the assist. But somebody made a great point is if Bruno was in a system, in an actual system, would he be putting up these numbers that he's putting up? And to me, the answer is no, he wouldn't be. Because it's not that he can't do it. It's just that's not what the game is about. It's not about get a LeBron James and dunk for the entire game, dunk on people. So to me, that's where I feel like we sort of have turned the corner, but I feel like we're still far away from where we need to be.
Do you not think though that the system maybe is just being built around Bruno? So I feel like they tried that with Pogba and like it didn't work nearly as well.
I think you guys are being too harsh on Ole because it's listen. So something that was said right was United hasn't lost in the league since the Arsenal game, right? And the biggest change that Ole made. So coming into the season, he was playing traditional 4-3-3. He was kind of tinkering with a diamond as well. I think the Arsenal game, he played a very flat 4-3-3, went up against our 4-3-3, and we won out. But the big change that he made since then was he stuck to the 4-2-3-1 with playing Pogba deep next to someone, Fred or McTominay, and then Bruno in front of them. And that's a formation that's actually worked really well for United. Now, the challenge with the 4-2-3-1 is there's always going to be spacing issues between your two deep playmakers and then your cam, right? And then when you have someone like Bruno who gets free reign to move around the wings, you're going to run into that issue where he's kind of hugging one of the wingers. But I think that's a formation that's worked really well for United, and I don't think anyone's really figured it out. So like the Wolves game, I thought was actually very impressive. That 1-0 win, you grind that out. Against Villa, struggled a little bit, and maybe a penalty sort of helps, and you kind of need some of that luck. I mean, Fergie had a couple of teams that had that, where they would lose out on possession, they would lose out on shots, but they were still the most efficient team. United's, I think, the third most efficient team in England right now. Penalties lose that stat a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. God, damn. Whoa, you're really nice today, eh? Arsenal winning 3 games, man. You're all nice.
I'm just saying, right? Like,
back in.
Ole has found a winning formula, right? And I think we should give him some credit. Like that formation, because he tried 3 center backs as well. Like he's played around again, like new manager, you're going to try different things. But this very traditional 4-2-3-1 has worked, and it's given Bruno license. And I agree, not many players get it, but Rooney got it once upon a time for United, when United went on a very successful title run. So, a lot of United's success is on this tactical change and on Bruno's form. Bruno goes down, things probably change, but I think United finished top 4 for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
I have a quick question, like kind of a follow-up question to what Joe said, and then a question for my boy Eze. Fall asleep on us. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, I guess he's to your right.
Yeah, whatever. So, question is, because this 4-2-3-1, right? I feel like I've spoken to Josh multiple times about this. My biggest frustration with Ole, first, my issue was I understand why he couldn't bring his players in like just as tidily as anybody else. The board is crazy. When you look at that United roster, it's like, why was he not trying to play 4-2-3-1? Pogba is not an attacking midfielder. He's a deep line playmaker who was not necessarily a CDM. Pogba cannot do what Bruno does in the same way Bruno cannot do what Pogba does. So,
but United fans want him to do the same thing, though.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about fans. Arsenal fans right now thinking we're going to win the league. Like fans are wild across the board. So like if you go across the board, it's like there's all.
I've had to say why isn't Pogba running like Bruno? I'm like, was Yaya Toure running like Bruno? Like,
example. Why isn't Yaya Toure go? Why isn't he having the same assists and goals as De Bruyne? Like they're not the same position at all. Not even the same player on the same position. So how credit do you give somebody for what is it, like 2 years, 2+ years now? He's just now realizing he's had Bruno for a year now. He's just now realizing that's his strongest formation. He would come out here and play like 3 number 6s. And then my follow-up question to Eze is
Sure, what was the first question? Sorry, the first question, I think we kind of talked over it.
First question is, does Solskjaer actually deserve credit for doing something that, in my opinion, should have done like 6 months ago? If you look at your lineup, you look at the players you have, and you pick the formation that suits the players that you have, as opposed to trying to force fit players into a formation that just doesn't make any sense. He went a whole year and a half with no bona fide central striker, center forward, and no bona fide creative midfielder. He brought them in and tried to force fit them into some weird 4-3 formation. Now it does 4-2-3-1. He goes on a 2-month crazy spree and he gets all this credit. But it's a little too late. The second question is to Eze, and now that he's gone, when he comes back, is Chelsea's lineup. Who was Chelsea's best 11 lineup? I just need to understand.
Yeah, I need to figure that out. Yeah. I think Charles can start. Well, as is, someone can start. Yeah.
You guys are being too harsh on Ole. It's the same. And I'm not a United sympathizer, right? But
Joe's sounding like Dwayne right now in the group chat.
Yeah, right.
It's just like Ole, just blinders, man.
No. It's just, the Premier League is a very tough league for a young manager to come into, and it's not because it's the best league in the world. I'm not saying that. It's just that every team plays a very different style almost, right? And it's just you can't get on just on philosophy in the Premier League. You have to be able to adjust. You have to show up, to a 20th place team in the snow and figure it out, basically, right? It's hey, no. Let me finish.
I'm gonna let you finish.
It's a tough league.
Guardiola and Klopp are exactly the things that you're saying EPL does not.
I'm like, what are you talking about? They play the exact same way every day, and then they're arguably the best team in the world because they won the EPL.
No. I'm saying it for a manager, for a young manager to come in. The Premier League is not kind. Like it is a tough league to figure it out. You know, it's
man,
like
league, man. Look at
outside of the French league.
I do not agree. It is a tough league. It is a tough league to make a name, and the Premier League is right. And the thing about Ole and the thing about Lampard and the thing about Arteta as well, right? Like these are three young managers that most people seem to kind of group together, even though their styles are very different, is because they're young. That's the only thing they have in common, right?
Ole managed other teams.
A Norwegian team.
Jack.
Are you kidding me?
Lampard didn't do Jack.
Yeah, sure.
Teams did Arteta manage.
I managed Dixie Soccer for like 2 years. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
He managed the EPL, right? He got fired. He was like the first manager to get fired from whatever team. Remember, this is not his first EPL.
Yeah, he got relegated with Cardiff.
With Cardiff.
Yeah, and then he went to Mold.
Joel. Your argument for Joel? You're saying young managers coming into the EPL. I'm saying Ole is not a young inexperienced manager.
They get grouped together, even though they don't have a similar style of play. They have different budgets and different sort of teams that they're the same, but they get grouped together because ultimately, it's like this, the excitement of the league, as they call it, right? The magic of the Premier League or whatever. But ultimately, like what's happened with especially Lampard and Ole for different reasons, they've been just tinkering a little too much, right? And they're trying to follow the Pep blueprint because Pep's like notorious tinker. He loves to tinker. And the thing is, it takes time, right? We're seeing it with all three managers. They're learning on the job, right? I keep saying it, right? They're learning on the job. And
the question, learning on the job is fine. The question is, when you look at United's roster, when you look at the players you have available to you, right? You outrightly pick a formation that does not highlight or suit the players you have available to you. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, where does it stop from learning on your job to like you could have made these changes early and you gotta go? Like, where is that bridge? Like, I don't get it. Because like there's a lot of managers doing this. You pick these three because they're all ex-players, right? Or ex-legends. I don't know how Arteta became an Arsenal legend. That was the weirdest concept to me.
PSG legend.
I was actually pretty surprised that I was like, wait, I know Arteta played for Arsenal, but I didn't know it was like legendary level. So
he's not a legend.
We were just desperate at that moment. Sanogo, a legend, probably came back.
Captain of an FA Cup winning team. There you go. Statue outside the Emirates. I think, you're right. It's fair, right? He's taken so long to play his best position or his best, like the players in sort of their more natural positions, right? You can accuse Arteta of the same. The run that Arsenal went through the end of last season, if you ever looked at the points table, people would be like from Jan 2020 to the end of the season, Arsenal were second in points after Liverpool, right? And everyone's kind of going into the season saying Arsenal are dark horses to win the league, right? Which was a joke, but it was because Arteta kind of played players in the positions that, you would think were best suited to them. These guys tinker, they figure it out. I think Ole has figured it out now. The question is that can other teams figure out how to counter the 4-2-3-1? City wasn't able to do it. Like, it was a pretty boring 0-0. But really, if you told me who had the advantage, I thought United actually had the advantage in that game, right? So Pep wasn't able to figure out. We're going to see if Liverpool can, and if Liverpool cannot, I don't see why United can't even finish top two.
I don't think the City game was a good yardstick because I think City without Aguero is just like it's like the City game versus United.
No, that's
Gavin Jesus or whatever his name, Gabriel Jesus up there at the top is not performing anymore, right?
So, you can't discount. That's you can't. No, you can't discount them drawing against a poor City. That's like saying, if you complain about referees and penalties, you've lost the argument.
No, I just said it's not a yardstick for the performance because they had a full. It's like the. I just don't think that's that. I think City. I think City is
I think he was okay with
this
the
year
draw
is because
from that
Aguero
game.
has not been around. If he were around, man, this league would not be as close as it's appearing to be, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah, and I think I think the City United game was different. I think you know what, Charles? I think Charles was right in the sense of Charles and I had this debate about who had the tougher fixture, United or City, going into after that game, and I had the argument that United had the easier, the harder fixture, but Charles had said that City did have the harder fixture. But I think City, when they kind of looked at their lineup, they kind of said, you know what, we have a strong enough team to beat United, but we're okay with the point because if you notice, Pep did not even make a single sub in that game,
Yeah.
so he was okay with that draw, and it was kind of like because he felt that they had enough to take them throughout the Christmas break. But just to kind of go to Ezra's the question for Ezra. So Kels was just asking, who is your starting 11? Like, what is your starting 11 for Chelsea? It doesn't look like you know it. Is Ezra there?
Yo, I can. It's hard for me to hear you guys. Sorry, say that again.
No. So Kels was asking for Chelsea, like, what is your starting 11?
See you.
Yeah, we can see you, man. We can hear you too.
Okay, yeah. So. Okay, word.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. So we go in goal. Reece James on the right. You have to play Thiago Silva and Zuma in the middle. On the left, you play Chilwell. It'll be a 4-3-3. So Kante at CDM, Mason Mount on the left, and then I would personally play Havertz in the middle as well. To the left, you play Pulisic, Werner up top. On the right, you play Ziyech. And that's kind of the line we played today, absent of Havertz. But it's not just the lineup itself; it's the style that we're playing, right? Like, for some reason, like Lampard loves his fullbacks kind of bombing forward, and he kind of rely on a lot of crosses coming into the box. Me personally, I think like a really unsophisticated offense is one that just relies on a lot of crosses coming in. You have a lot of really, really good players. Though you can play intricate passes within or around the box that allow them to get into the box without having to make these crazy ass crosses coming in all the time. So it's not just the lineup itself, because the lineup is fine. We have really good players. It's the style in which that Lampard is playing that just doesn't agree with me.
The clock boy.
But so you said that, and that's the question, because to me, Olivier Giroud is kind of old, but to me, he's the best striker you guys have.
Giroud.
Like, you guys Giroud's the best striker they have, at least on form. Like, he's been scoring all Chelsea's goals. Like, every time he scores. Form. Sorry? I think Giroud is like your best striker right now. Yeah. So I'm sorry, because my point was.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Sorry, my point was you said that Frank Lampard likes to go through the wings and cross into the box. So why is he not playing Giroud, who is that traditional striker in the box, like Cavani or whoever? Because from what I can tell, Timo Werner doesn't like staying in the box, and then you have Tammy Abrahams, who is not strong enough to be in the box to get those crosses in. So to me, is like,
yeah,
you're playing a system that's Giroud, your best striker, but you're not playing him. Oh, sorry.
No, I hear that still. I think it's because obviously it's the money thing, man. Like if you spend the 50 million on Werner, you have to play him. You can't use 36-year-old Giroud, who has 6 months left on his contract, up top in the middle there. You have to play the guy you spent all the goddamn money on. So that's kind of the main reason. I agree with you. Giroud's the best in the air, so he should be playing. He should be playing up top. But I think we don't have to play that kind of style, right? If we have Havertz, I'm not saying he's Bruno Fernandes or anything, but he can create. Let's put him in a position where we can get the most out of him. I think we'll be better off that way.
I think you can play a lineup with
As,
Giroud and Werner.
Yeah,
You can play a 4-3-3 with Giroud and Werner. The only challenge is who do you play on the other side? Do you play Pulisic? Do you play Ziyech? Like, but that's a good problem to have, in my opinion.
I just want to say this. I think Lamps made two very crucial mistakes in the transfer. Go ahead, Eze.
Yo, Eze, you in Nigeria or something? There's like a serious lag with that.
Yo, Eze, man, I gotta message your mom, man. RBC's paying her enough. I have to get her.
Yo, listen. Let me work on this. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. So while Eze is tuning back on, so do you guys feel like it's too early to be calling a title race right now? I know the league is very close and teams are still dropping points, but do you feel like we can now say that there's a title race in place?
I don't think it's any different. I think the top contenders are the same as they were in September. Honestly, like I don't. I think it's like in my mind, it's Liverpool, Man City. My Man City bet is dependent on whoever comes back, and the challengers to break in there are United and I would probably have to say Tottenham just because I have a lot of faith in my boy Jose. So that's that.
Ooh, your boy Jose. Oh wow, he added my boy. Okay.
Top four, man. Top four.
So disappointing.
I'm sorry, that's me. Go ahead.
The one formerly known as the special one, currently known as Mr. Top Four.
Currently known as the old one?
No. Currently he's Mr. Top Four. Like nobody can deny Mo that. Like Mo is Mr. Top Four. You want to make Champions League, you get yourself Mo Jose Mourinho in any league in the world, fam.
Anywhere.
Do not take that away from me.
So Mourinho is basically what he accused Arsenal of many years ago. This is a full transformation.
Back then he was a special one. Now he's top four Mourinho.
And when he was a water boy, Arsene was the special one. But I guess he forgot that.
Well, that's Arsene's problem is that he didn't change with time. That is Arsene's biggest.
No, I know. I do think I think the league is slowly getting to a point where teams are sort of like getting a bit more fluid and like this post-COVID syndrome sort of going. So you're gonna see teams pull away a little bit, at least quality. I think Liverpool probably still walks the league, just based on quality. I think City should be up there. To me, they're the most talented team in the league, but it just hasn't worked out. I think the top four though would be Liverpool, City. I'm still saying finds a way in there. I think United finds a way in there just because I think they have enough in them. And as a surprise, I think Everton hangs on. And I think Everton hangs on not because Everton has depth issues for sure, but they also have one of the finest managers in the world. And I think he kind of gets them, kind of keeps it together, right? So. And I think Chelsea is probably going to fall out. I think Leicester is going to have some issues with their depth as well. And I think Mourinho is going to have the same issues with depth as well, right? So I think Liverpool should walk the league. And I think City, United, and Everton round out the top four.
Yeah.
So you don't think that Man United has depth problems as well?
No. So United has depth problems for sure, right?
But why do you think United will overcome theirs and the likes of Leicester, the likes of Tottenham, they won't?
So here, when you look at it squad versus squad, United versus, say, a team like Leicester, for instance, right? If Leicester loses...
Hold on. I won't let you finish that. I was just saying Leicester for fun. United with Tottenham, because now you're talking about, literally...
Who does Tottenham have? Kane and Son go down?
And that's the thing,
yeah.
right? So,
Bruno goes down. Two people going down versus one person going down is a massive difference.
With Spurs, the challenge is your top players are your goal scorers, right? With United, yes, Bruno contributes with penalties, but if you get someone like Martial finds form, Cavani settles in, those are your goal scorers, right? I've always said it. In England, all you need to win is to be able to create and convert, right?
Who's creating the down.
You know what? Like, you've got a Jan window coming up now. United could easily find someone. They could easily find someone. And yes, I do agree. If Bruno goes down, United's going to have issues for sure. Which is why I'm saying that they're
Give or take, that's still yet to be proven, because I would say that. Sorry, Joe, not to cut you off. Because we're relying on Bruno, yes, but we also have a Mr. Donny van der Beek on the bench. And if Pogba can play the way he's been playing in the last couple of games, Cavani has already shown his form. Like, the game against Southampton, where he came in and changed the game. We were down 2-0. Came in and changed it. Cavani is scoring goals. Martial is still contributing the way he's been. Rashford is on form. So we have a lot of players, man. We have a lot of players that I think – because I just feel the way we are now, if Bruno was to go down, they'll have that belief for Bruno. They'll want to keep doing it for Bruno. So that's my take on it. I don't know if Charles has something to say, but I think we have the squad depth.
Charles, please get in there, man. I see the truth in the skepticism in your face, man. Please,
I mean, listen. I'm not convinced 100% on the squad depth. However, I think it's adequate. I think it's adequate enough to get us to challenge for a top 3. I think personally the whole thing is just like a process. So it's like in the summer, let's say Man United finish 2nd or 3rd or whatever. In the summer, if you don't hear Solskjaer saying next year we're going for the title, and then try and sign the players that he thinks will help us do that, then we're gonna be in a position next season where we're, I think we'll regress, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't necessarily think they have the squad depth yet to win, but I think they have enough to put to use a Tottenham quote, put the pressure on.
Yeah. So I give you $50 million in January, right? $50 million.
Okay.
Shaka.
I'm not a fan of buying January players. Buying players in January, but I'll play the game.
No, not who you're buying. So let me rephrase the question. Not who you're buying. What position are you replacing to get that squad depth that will give you that 100% assurance?
What position? I definitely think it's centre back. Yeah, I think it's centre back.
So you think?
Yeah, I think I would mainly focus on defense. I think we have enough. Like Josh said, if something happens to Bruno, we do have Van der Beek, and then Pogba can play that position or whatever. So like we have options. Mm-hmm. And realistically, anyone can take penalties, so I'm not too worried about that.
I mean, if old school Pogba tells you not anyone can take penalties.
Yeah, no, but I think we're heading in the right direction. I've always only ever said as well that like I would only want Solskjaer to leave if we could get Pochettino. Since that's now not an option, I am backing the project and being a man of my word. So I'm hoping it's this right now. Whether we win the league or not, this season has to be something to build on. And I hope that like he'll show the ambition in the summer to go on and say next season we want the league. Then that's when I'll be like, all right, this is.
Arteta will be available soon, so I wouldn't rule him out of replacing Solskjaer when he leaves. He's just saying.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So I was saying Arteta will be available very shortly. So I'm just saying it's not just Tuchel like out there. I'm just saying keep your options.
Frank might be available. Frank Lampard might be available as well.
Yeah.
That hexagon? You don't want that hexagon?
Bruno will flourish in that one.
But Jeff, the one thing I would say is the way this season has gone, right? I think United has enough. I think the way, judging from this season and the way teams have been up and down, I think United probably has the second best squad depth. Like, just the quality. Like, you kind of think about the games that we've benched, the likes of your Pogbas, Van der Beek never plays, Cavani. The one time I looked on the bench and it was Cavani, Pogba, Van der Beek was on the bench, Alex Telles was on the bench, And I forgot who else was on the bench too. Mason Greenwood was on the bench. I'm like, what? Like, you think about the game after the Leeds game. We made 9 subs for the League Cup against Everton. 9 subs, and that team was still like that team can smack most EPL teams. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like for the quality of the season this year, I think we probably have the second best like squad depth after City. But just in terms of on a regular season, maybe not. Maybe not.
This is where I have problems, right? Because it's one thing to have squad depth in terms of how many people you have that can take over a position if your starter 11 goes down, right? United does not have that. Bruno goes down. Who in quality that comes anywhere near him covers this position? Mata?
No, but okay.
I think sorry, if I could just, Josh, let me just add like a little thing to Jeff's question. It's like Bruno goes down. Yeah, you can put Pogba and Van de Beek, but you're playing them. You're going back to the same thing of playing them out of their positions.
Position, yeah.
Right. Remember, United have had the same squad now for like 12 months. The only thing that added was Van de Beek, who, to your point, never plays. 12 months they've had the same squad, right? Now Solskjaer has figured out the 4-2-3-1, which only works if you have a central attacking midfielder, right? It's like you guys should probably try to get Özil as a backup to Bruno because like that is the same player, right?
Ericsson,
yeah, those types of people. Ericsson, although he seems a little too just depressed from my personal.
I think
he's also a time player. So
if you bring in Ericsson, you got to bring in a world-class psychologist, man. That guy is.
Yeah.
He lost his confidence.
The whole thing is. Yeah. Ooh. Wow. He's trying to come back to Tottenham, which I'm like, sure. If you think that's going to help you guys, do whatever you want. Anyhow, but the point I'm trying to add to Jeff's point is like, if Bruno goes down, like, yeah, people can. Heart is one thing, and belief is a whole other thing. But like, do you actually think like, Pogba's not going to do what Bruno does, and whoever replaces Pogba where Pogba is right now is not going to do what Pogba does? So like, I guess all things is I guess whenever Bruno goes down, I'm going to be messaging the group being like, can we please have another podcast? I want to come back on.
You know what? And I think that goes back to that question is, I know Joel was saying that we're being too hard on Ole, because to me, when you watch a full 90-minute United game, like Bruno is not really doing that much. Like he has the most possession lost. And I get it. Yeah, he's an attacking player, but he's a massive liability as well, right? From a possession standpoint. I'm not saying I'm just being real. I'm being honest.
Josh does not like Bruno. He does not like Bruno.
It's a one-man team. So for me what I'm saying is Bruno is doing his bit. So if Bruno gets injured and we all of a sudden struggle, then that shows then that tells me that Ole never had it. What this whole thing was Bruno. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not Bruno's fault that he came in and changed the game. So all I'm saying is, then that goes back to that question is, from the way I can see it from my eyes, like from watching United games, is we have a phenomenal sign-in in Bruno. And then we just have players who, because of that sign-in, there's the belief, Rashford is pulling things that he's never done before. I've never seen Pogba run the way he ran in that last game. Like he was saving marriages, everything. He was saving it. Defensively, he was strong defensively, strong attacking. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? And all these players are standing up. So to me, I just feel like it's more of the team effort versus the coaching. I feel like Ole has done a good job as a manager to say, hey, put your egos aside. Let's try to work as a team. But to me, I think that's when Ole is going to get found out, is when Bruno gets injured. Is Manchester the team that we know as a team, or is it just Bruno United? So that's my thing. And I feel like
United,
and it's not the team. That's my take on it. Individual brilliance is what we're relying on.
So just to get back to my boy JP and his comments about why Tottenham won't be in the top 4. I mean, it's just purely hate. Excuse me.
Is it though?
Yeah, it is.
I do hate them. I hate them with every fabric of my being. I hate that team. If I could get the new codes right now, yeah, just blow that stadium away. Nobody needs them.
Man.
No one's gonna miss them. Who the hell cares about a cock on a ball?
Whoa, yo, watch out, man. The feds be listening these days.
So
anyway,
do it.
yo, I just want to say this is that Tottenham, and I don't believe Tottenham is going to be. I don't believe Tottenham is going to be fighting for a title race. I do believe they'll be top 5. Whether they make it into the Champions League or not, I'm not going to make that prediction. For me, right now, there's no league that is more open for getting into Champions League than EPL. Now, the whole Tottenham situation for me is that they had that belief. There was a period where they believed in Son and Kane being able to produce. They believed in Kane's inability to not be selfish. I haven't really seen that from Bruno. They believed in Son's ability, Son's quality. Son, my goodness, that guy, I've seen him literally grow. Year after year after year, he gets better, right?
The decision making right now is ridiculous.
Right?
It's ridiculous.
And like,
he always does the right thing. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, good point. So like, you had 2 people, right? And then you have Lo Celso is all of a sudden doing his thing. Bergwijn has to fight because he's scared that Mr. My knee, my ankle, my calf is always hurt playing golf. Is going to come in and take his spot just because he has a name, right? You have Reguilón, who, despite his immaturity doing COVID parties, is an absolute phenom right now, pushing Robertson's game. The thing for me is that
I'm just going to jump in on that regular point, but you would expect that of all Madrid ballers. Go ahead.
Wait. But that includes
He's not a Madrid baller. He's not.
Oh, okay. JP, wrap it up. I just think that the team for me that I think everybody is kind of giving too much credit for is got to be Man United. And I only say this not because I'm hating on Solskjaer or anything like it, because Bruno has not even reached 12 months since he came to United. Bruno you know how you figure out United? You mark Bruno in a way that you don't need to, the way that if you do to Bruno, and this is why you guys are not in UCL. I'm sorry, I hate to bring up old wounds, because teams in the UCL that go far, they know how to change and be able to beat teams, and the reason why they're winning. Exactly. The whole Pep Guardiola. I was quiet during the whole thing, so I'll wrap it up real quick, JP. The reason why City and United for me was not anything to say, oh, we performed. Oh, I see you. It's simply because Pep does not tinker to beat a team. He tinkers to try something new that he thinks will be better. Pep does not set up to meet how another team is going to play, and that's the difference, right? Like, so if you go back to United, and I say this, Bruno, you mark him, he's done, and then what? You rely on Martial? Martial is more terrified of his own shadow than a grade 2-year-old on the playground. This guy is terrified. Man, this guy is terrified.
Come on, Jeff. Who's been winning all these penalties, though? Who's been winning all these penalties?
He can't just do it all the time.
But it's bad.
Figured out.
It's bad defending. That's why he's getting all these penalties. Right? So anyways, I just want to I'll wrap it up by just saying that for me, I think Liverpool, it's not even that they're walking. Liverpool has been sleeping on number one since last year. There's the fact that they lost their whole back line and were still controlling games. Not that they were outscoring. They were controlling games. City, they don't care about the league. I'm sorry. I'm saying you heard it. They only care about one thing: Champions League. They're literally Madrid trying to get La Decima. You know, but unfortunately,
I think Pep's legacy is on Champions League at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I said Pep's legacy depends on Champions League at this point.
Yeah.
He's got to prove that he can win it without that, that amazing Barca team, basically, which he hasn't been able to.
And it's not just Messi, that amazing Barca team. So
that whole team, top to bottom.
And so for me, whoever's third, fourth, fifth is inconsequential because it's going to be Liverpool 1, it's going to be City 2, and then 3, 4, 5 is just going to be the team who doesn't fire their manager. I'm telling you, you heard this here first.
Who does or doesn't?
If Chelsea fires Lampard, they're guaranteed to not make Champions League because there's no coach right now that can come in January or February and rejig this team that was makeshifted in 4 weeks in the summer, right? And then you have Tottenham, which Tottenham for me, I think they are just a ticking time bomb. They were going to be 4th or 5th, and they're literally going to be 4th or 5th all the way to the end. I guarantee the last game, it's either going to be 4th or 5th. Arsenal, they won't make it this year, but I honestly believe that Arteta has done what we've all cried for him to do. Now let's see if he does it again. But I personally do not have faith in him. I personally believe that January is going to be the most key for Arsenal than anybody else because no other team needs help. Chelsea doesn't need help. Man United doesn't need help. Man United needs other players on form. Why the bleep is Van de Beek on the bench and not being able to get form? What was the plan? Only play him in captain?
Why did they even buy him? Why did they even buy him?
Well, I think they bought him because of that over-reliance on Bruno, right? But it hasn't worked out so far.
But he's not an attacking midfielder.
And that's the thing, right? Like it seemed like they were buying for a position that they didn't need help on.
Was pissing the bed. Wasn't for Bruno. It was for Pogba because he was starting to realize that he could not keep Pogba if they don't perform. Now Van de Beek is on the bench because Pogba is performing because Bruno is performing. Let's see what happens in April.
I think Chelsea, to be honest, sorry, just one quick second. I think Chelsea they have the same type of players that Man U has. It's like they just need to pay 4-2-3-1, to Joe's point, and they would be fine. I honestly, I wish somebody would give me like just $1 million to manage a team. just
right? If you can give Arteta a job.
It's crazy. Like we watch these teams roll out. To Jeff's point, it's like I don't think Lampard's going to make any change. I think he's stuck to a system. And I think Chelsea is. That's why I didn't mention Chelsea. I'm like I don't really consider them a factor. Like Ziyech is like they look confused.
Ziyech is ridiculous. For me, Havertz is not being played. If Havertz was to play the way if Havertz was to play the way Bruno was playing on United, Chelsea would be a problem because they have a Conte. They have what United needs is Conte.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like literally, you guys don't have.
They have actually better players for like if they lined up 4-2-3-1, they would probably be a better squad than like I would say every team in the league except City and Liverpool. Was going to do a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
they have their own thing. But like they just did that. My God.
Lampard has said that Havertz is going through some COVID issues and he's struggling to kind of settle in, right? And we're seeing that with Werner too. But I think Havertz naturally should be playing that Bruno role. That should be his position, right? And that's why I was asking Eze about what he thought about playing Giroud and Werner, because if Werner in Germany, he got a lot of goals cutting in from the wing, right? He's not a natural sort of your number 9. And the thing with Giroud is that if you're going to be a team that over relies on crossing and all and link up, and that's kind of Giroud's game, right? He plays his back to goal. He can kind of give you bring the midfielders in a little bit like that. That's his style of play, right? Like someone a few years ago perfectly described Giroud's game as he is plan B till plan B scores so many goals that he becomes your plan A, right? That's Giroud's game, basically, right? But I mean, like, I do think it's unfair to say what happens to United without Bruno because it's like he's their best player, right? That's like you take the best player of any team out and say, what is that team going to do? It's tough. That's a challenging hypothetical, and it's a challenging like, are you going to get a backup to your best player that's half as good as that? I think that's a tough challenge, right? As for Tottenham, my thing about Tottenham is this, right? Is that like Son is like I love watching him play. As much as it pains me to say it, Kane does have a bad injury record. He is going to miss games for sure.
At least like a month and a half for
He
sure.
will, right? And that's just unfortunate, right? I mean, unfortunate, but is the challenge then is that does Tottenham have enough to replicate those goals, right?
But isn't that your argument? If you lose your best player, how do you replace that?
Well,
Like,
I think the best player is Son, right? And that's.
Do you think Tottenham's best player is Son? Is that what you said?
I do think,
he's a hater fan.
Between Son and I would say between Son and Kane.
I think Son over the
Shot
last
for Gareth Bale.
season and a half has been their best player.
Well, in with this one.
The one thing I will say about Tottenham is that Tottenham was on a trajectory with Pochettino. Sort of, he kind of got all these players like Son and Kane, all these guys. He got them while they were just sort of entering their prime. He sort of like groomed them. They peaked at the Champions League. If they won the Champions League, it's probably a different story. Last season, you could see that they sort of plateaued and they were kind of then sort of spiraling a little bit. And that's when they fired Pochettino, which I thought was way too early, and brought Mourinho in. But Spurs leadership recognizes that most of this team, the makeup of the team is that they're at their prime or sort of kind of getting towards the end of it. So this team right now is built to win. They're not built to finish top four, right? And that's why they brought Mourinho in. So Mourinho's not come in to get them into Champions League. Mourinho's been brought in to win the league and potentially win the Champions League. So if Tottenham's not in the title race, to me, that's a failure. Like that's why Mourinho is in there. Mourinho is not in there to just get them into the Champions League at this point, right? So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I just don't think Tottenham is good enough to win the league, and I think that's why they're probably going to move away from Mourinho in the summer. Like,
do you think they are trying to win the league, or do they just want a trophy? Because they haven't won a trophy in 13 since I've been watching soccer.
Listen, my dad tells me that they won a few times back in the day, and he'd have to deal with some Tottenham fans as they would walk together to games. But I mean, I believe they might have won something. I don't know if TV were invented back then.
No, that definitely won.
I don't know FA Cup. No, I'm saying in the past 13 years, past 13 years, Tottenham, they've not even that backup cup. What's that?
You said 13. You've been watching soccer for way longer than that.
No, I said, yeah, obviously I toned it back because the early days I didn't even know what the FA Cup was. I was just watching freaking Canu. That was it.
Canu, believe it. Oh, where's that? Come on.
I think they probably just won tournaments before the new tournaments are called now. I think
past 13 years. Past 13 years, right? This is Daniel Levy. Does he have a trophy in his cabinet? I do not. I don't think they're trying to get the league, Joel. I think they're just trying to get any trophy, FA Cup even. Remember when we were celebrating? Some of Arsenal fans were celebrating at the FA Cup in 2013, and I was sitting there at the pub when you guys been like, we should not be celebrating this.
Yeah, I was running across the street. Remember, I was trying to control traffic as we were running across like clowns. Arsenal's back.
Yeah, nobody here believes Tottenham has a chance of winning the league, but the question was top four, and you chose Everton over Tottenham, and I thought that was insane.
No, so, I said they're my dark horse. That's why I said Everton's my dark horse.
So you're a dark horse.
I think 4, 5, 6, and potentially 7 is going to be by 1-2 points, right? Like what the league is right now, right? Arsenal was in a relegation battle 3 weeks ago, and now we're 3 points off 5th place, right? And I think that's going to be
a week and a half ago. What are you talking about? Weeks ago.
Well, it was a week and a half, literally.
Right. But that's the thing. I think that's going to be the story of the league, 3rd place to maybe 12th place, right? I think the competition for the Europa League spots are going to go all the way up to 11th. So it's going to be tight, right? And it's going to be like fine margins. But I just, Tottenham also has history against it. And it's laughable at this point, but that's it's true. They somehow find a way to falter at the end. It's a joke. It's true though, right? And again, Everton to me is my dark horse, mostly because I absolutely love the way they're playing football right now. I'm a big fan of Ancelotti. He's one of my favorite managers. I really wish we signed him when Arsene left. They're also like, we're like Kel's brought this up. Actually, all of you guys brought up how managers are struggling to play their best players in the best spots. And I feel like Ancelotti is one of those guys that gets it. Like he knows how to do that, right? Yeah. So he's by no means the greatest manager. He's one of my personal favorite managers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that that's what he's doing with that Everton team, right? Yeah, exactly, right? Like wherever he's played, wherever he's managed, right? Like whether it's Milan or even Chelsea, like he's found a way to kind of play to the best. And the team has some depth issues for sure. They're playing really good football. I do think it's going to be an exciting league, especially for the old school fans, to see 2 Manchester and 2 Merseyside clubs in the top 4. I think it's there's something special about that. Saying this as a North London fan.
Birmingham and Richmond.
I'm going to throw caution to the wind and call BS on that Everton, and it's just Tottenham hate. It's just if you took your fan goggles off for a minute,
there it is.
You would realize that Everton's form goes up and down with James. And what you don't know about James, which we do, is that he's only going to give you 5 months in the season at best. And of those 5 months, he's going to be overweight for one of those months. So, I roll Everton out. And I think you're only saying Everton because you don't want to be on camera saying Tottenham is going to be number 4 in the league. That's just my.
Do you feel like sometimes like the Ancelotti thing? I know you got to give him props for what he's done, but don't you feel like the Ancelotti team, like situation is basically because like there isn't? I think because now he's such an experienced manager that has coached any team like the top clubs, but now he's coaching a team like Everton when he doesn't have the same goals and ambitions like the bigger clubs. So I think because of that, he's using his experience, but without the pressure, if that makes sense. So I feel like maybe that's probably why Everton is performing the way they are, because there isn't as much pressure on him. It's kind of just get the leftovers from different teams, coach, have a proper coaching system, and just go out there and see what happens. And I feel that makes a huge difference.
I would agree, but the reason I would agree that he is benefiting from his reputation. But I would also agree with one thing Joel said, whereas like the one thing about Ancelotti, I actually completely agree with something about Ancelotti is he will look at his lineup. He will play any formation, right? Ancelotti in Milan was like a 4-3-3 guy. Came to Madrid, switched to a 4-2-3 guy. When we lost like 1 or 2 players, like Kadira and those guys were pushed to a 4-2-3, switched to a 4-3-3. He just figures out how to get the best. And where I think he needs to the credit that he's been given is worthy. If you compare Ancelotti to a Rafa Benitez, right? These are like the same type of profile. Rafa Benitez went from Real to Newcastle. There was nothing in between. Real to Newcastle. Newcastle got relegated. Yeah, they came back to the league with him, but they got relegated with him. Ancelotti has gone to Everton. He doesn't have the same level of quality. He is leveraging his previous experiences, but Everton is doing much better than if Moyes got the Man U job out of his Everton's experience. Ancelotti should be, president of the United States, right? As a result of Everton. Because, in my opinion, the value of the squad, talent-wise, it's not very different from anything that Moyes had when he was finishing top 10 for 10 years consecutively with Everton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do see your point. He is getting a lot of credit, but I think like the fact that they're still competitive in that league is, I think it is impressive.
No, I was just trying to play, devil's advocate there in the sense of, but no, right now, I wish we could just switch managers. To be honest, sometimes when you look at how well the team is, and it's like if we just had a system, we can actually just play football, and not just wait for a Bruno magic ball or somebody to take the reins kind of thing. But yeah, we're almost done here. We have like 10 minutes left, guys. So I just wanted to quickly just who do you guys think the best signing of 2020 was, in your opinion? Just it doesn't have to be EPL. Could just be.
Okay. There's a Man U fan asking who the best signing of 2020 was. Come on.
Well, it's a 2020 show, right?
Danny Ceballos on loan from Madrid again.
That's a 3-1 masterclass against Burnley still in the mind, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
I thought you were gonna say Bale to Tottenham, man. If you're gonna pull jokes.
Oh my goodness! Well, I guess so. Yeah.
Does re-signing count? No.
Well, yeah. I guess whoever has like added quality to the team, I suppose. Yeah. I guess we can all agree it's been Bruno Fernandes at this point.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone has put up those numbers this year. Or in like the last 10 years, probably.
Also, it's not a fair year. Bruno came in January. COVID happened in the summer. Teams gotten destroyed. Like it's not fair. I guarantee you, if COVID didn't happen, Bruno would not be the best signing, but he'll probably be top 3, top 5, right? Because people were supposed to move that didn't move, right? And so for me, I think it's unfair, but yeah, obviously Bruno. I mean, it's kind of
sometimes I know Jay-Z says numbers don't lie, but sometimes it's not just all about the numbers.
but they don't lie, but they can be deceptive.
Yeah, I think stats only tells you a part of the story, right? It's like but I know Charles looks like he's got something to say. He was thinking deep.
No, I didn't have anything.
No.
I would say Bruno too as well, though. I mean, like you said, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
I think
I can't believe he almost went to Tottenham.
Sorry?
Was that Charles?
No, I said I was reflecting on the time that like he almost went to Tottenham. I remember that was close at one point. And so the irony now is that like every time like Mourinho speaks about him in the press and talks about him being a penalty merchant, it's like, where would Tottenham be if they had Bruno in their squad?
Like the number one rule of Mourinho is when he starts taking shots at anybody, he is genuinely afraid of that person. He's like he talk smack about people. He's like terrified.
But you know what though? But another thing too is if he went to Tottenham, Bruno will be having way more defensive duty. Like he would act like Mourinho is not just gonna say, "Yo, have a free reign." Or be like, I think I made that comment in the group too yesterday on the group chat where people were saying that, "Oh, Man City must be knocking their heads right now. They didn't get Bruno." And it's like, not really though. Is Bruno as disciplined as all those Man City players? I don't think so. Because when you watch him play for Portugal, he's not the same player for Portugal, right? Not to, obviously, country is different, but like not taking away from his quality,
Ronaldo on your squad, like you're not getting free reign. I said it's very different, especially when you have the GOAT Ronaldo on the squad.
Yeah,
you're not getting free reign, right? And
I
don't.
He even got subbed off. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, I'm not saying that he's not quality. It's just sometimes it's about the system, right? And it's about collective group. Yeah.
But then to your point, John, he wouldn't be going to. He wouldn't be like. If he wouldn't be going to Tottenham, right? Like if he went to Tottenham, he'd have to play defense. If anybody went to Tottenham, they would have to play defense because Mourinho was there. Like, if Bruno went to City, I think he would have gotten himself together in order to be disciplined enough to play. Did you see what Gundogan was doing today?
I think Gundogan is more box to box than Bruno. I think if Bruno went to City, I think he's playing second fiddle to De Bruyne.
Easily.
He's getting to the lineup. I will say one thing, and I'm not trying to start up a new thing. It's just I keep hearing this, and it like just bothers me. It's this Mourinho defensive thing. So the Mourinho coached a Madrid team with Özil in it, right? He coached a Chelsea team with Lampard in it, right? Lampard and Drogba and whatever. Like, yeah, those teams were defensively solid. The Inter Milan mentality and the Man U mentality, because he didn't have the attacking quality, he didn't get attacking illustrious, but he holds the record for most number of goals scored by a manager within the league in for Chelsea, and he holds the record in La Liga. So if he does have quality, he will play the 4-2-3-1. Ironically, is Mourinho's like that is, in my opinion, his best formation, where he has like an actual end-to-end team. But that's why I think if Bruno went to Tottenham, I think Tottenham is a different beast. I think they're not necessarily as attacking. I think they're way less defensive than they currently are. Because, like, to be frank, like there's nobody. You think your midfield is bad? Look at what they're working with. Like,
Yeah, really nothing there, man.
Come on.
Yeah. But you know what though? That could be instead of Bale, just slap Bruno on there, and now you have an attack like a much solid attacking squad, right? Versus
Still very heavily defensive, but you are actually like you're countering not with pace, you're countering with like you should see the counter attacks in the Mourinho era. It was some of the best soccer I've actually watched Madrid play. Since I've been watching them, but that's why he's my boy for the record.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that's where, and I think that's what United is always going to be. That and I think we're in that culture, like I said last time, in just pointing fingers at individuals, right, versus the collective, because it was from the board, it was from if it wasn't the board, it was Pogba, it was Mourinho, it was now we have someone like a player like Bruno who is putting up numbers, and you have haters like me who are being critical. I'll say being critical of Bruno, but at the same time, it's he's winning at the same time. I know somebody made a great point, and it was like the way he sees the Manchester United team. It's a team that doesn't really have a system. It's just people who are good with freestyle soccer at playing the game right now in Manchester. So you look at your Bruno with the free reign. Rashford is just, Rashford's goal is just as long as somebody's on the ball, just run and find Rashford, right? And nothing wrong with that, but it's like the two players who are not the greatest at playing in systems are the ones that are outshining, and it's like it's a lot of like freestyle football. Just go and express yourselves, and whoever can get on the ball the most, wins the day. So that's where for me is I'm still not sold on Ole as a coach, but I think he's done a great job with the team in general. And just finally the last question is, who would you guys like to see Arsenal sign in the window?
Jesus.
I know it's a tough one, but
I know who I would like for Arsenal to get rid of. And I mean, it's like a list of players.
It's miracles, man.
List of players.
And,
Soccer
immaculate, good stuff.
I think
JP, you go first. I want to hear your side of the story.
I think we do need another center mid, someone that can play alongside Partey. I think Xhaka and Ceballos are not up to the par. Like they both have deficiencies. They don't complement each other really well. The nice thing with what we've seen over the last few weeks with playing a more natural attacking mid in Emile Smith-Rowe has been that Ceballos could play a more natural 8, which suits his game, and Xhaka can sit back a little bit more, which also sort of suits his game. But I want to see Arsenal go out and get a really solid center mid that they can play alongside Partey. I do think if we can sign an attacking mid with experience, it would be beneficial. It would even help someone like ESR, establish his game. We do have an attacking mid in the team in Ozil that, things haven't worked out, I guess, but I think he has a role to play. So that might be a good signing in Jan, bring him back on the team. I would like to see us go out and get another winger, though. Someone with experience. I like Wilfried Zaha. I've always been a fan of him. He's an Arsenal boy. You bring him in, and you take some pressure off Saka and Martinelli. Let them take their time getting into, the league. You don't want to burn out young players. It's been an Arsenal thing. We get young players. We get super excited about them when they have one or two great games, and then we burn them out. And next thing you know, they're injured and for the rest of their careers, basically, right? So I think a center mid and an attacking winger would be my priorities. I think the spine of the team's in a good place right now. Our back four is really well established. We've got a good goalkeeper. We've got a great defensive holder that can play box to box in Partey. And our attacking two is pretty solid too. So winger and a center defensive player. And I will say though, since you guys were talking about best signings of 2020, Everton actually made a couple of nice signings too. They got Alan from Napoli, and they got Doucouré from Watford for like peanuts.
Yeah, I was actually really happy to see that he was.
So I would have taken Doucouré. Now he's not as good as Partey, but maybe that saves us money and we get a player next to him, right? So yeah.
And Doucouré, he's a hard worker though. He's somebody like I think he plays like box to box.
He does.
Watford. His finishing is not the greatest. He's like a Fred, his finishing, but he's always available. He's the kind of player that would work. He'll run his socks off for you.
Yeah. So my wish list is Bundia from Norwich and Zaha from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, Zaha needs to go. Like, he's the one player that his career could just end up just never hitting that height, and I think it's just so sad to see. I think his levels over Crystal Palace. Like, he should not be in Crystal Palace.
That game alone. I mean, that guy's his decision making for me is for me it's top class. And that is an unfortunate. I remember I asked these guys in the chat last week. I said, "Yo, why is Zaha still in Crystal Palace?" The response: money, right? And like,
it's like
we chose to get Pepe for 72 mil instead, Jeff. Yeah. That's why.
But was that not the boy Emery though? Emery.
We give Emery a lot of flack, but Emery wanted Zaha. And Pepe was someone that was seen as a younger, exciting player who would have greater resale value, which is why he was signed, right? Another thing too is I'm calling for a player to play alongside Partey. And who did Emery sign? Guendouzi. I know he's not at that level as yet, but I think he can get there, right? So I don't want to relive the past, but I think Emery did a lot of good things when it came to recruitment that he doesn't get credit for. And I think he got found out by Arsenal fans, unfortunately. I think he's a solid manager. He's definitely better than Arteta, in my opinion. And he's definitely shown his worth in Spain. But, Zaha is a player, I think, that would come in and do really well for Arsenal. And he would, we'd get rid of Willian, who's a complete waste of space. Aubameyang, is having issues, but I think Aubameyang, opposite Zaha helps. And I think it takes pressure off of two young players that we want to protect in Saka and Martinelli. And we do need a player alongside Partey because we don't have that. And
I would agree with Joel. Like if we're going to get literally everything he said, and my priority sequence would be for sure somebody to play next to Partey because it's like we solved one problem, but now the other problem is gaping. And so I think that would be number one, and then number two would be somebody out wide, and we need to offload. More importantly, it's like we need to offload like 2 or 3 wingers. We just need to let some of the garbage go.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, William obviously can get rid of him, but that's that.
That's one thing Ole, I give him credit for, man, is like what he's done to just the squad. He's just low key. Nope, you're out. You're out.
He does know how to get rid of players. He really does.
On camera and say, hey, he's a good working lad. He works hard in the training ground. They all want to play for Manchester United. And next thing you know it, loan to Italy.
I agree with the guy said about what positions we need to fill in. I just need to make my position very clear. Guendouzi ain't it. What is Guendouzi doing now? That for me, I will never agree with you guys unless Guendouzi does what he's supposed to be doing. Guendouzi does not have the head game. How do you clash with Arteta? Because he wants you to play, he wants you to do something that you're not doing. Guendouzi lost the ball in our own third way too many times for me. Secondly, Emery, and you praising Emery and his his recruitment, that's garbage. What he did in Spain is nothing. The Sevilla he left behind to go coach in PSG and drop the ball like was an anvil. Lopetegui, the garbage Lopetegui, who couldn't do anything with a class squad in Madrid. What he took that same Sevilla team and he did exactly the same thing as what Emery did. So no, Emery ain't it. Emery does not deserve any more praise than the praise he got when he came in and he started to show some good signs. Same thing he did to PSG. He can't manage. Sure, he can coach, but coach is for me, I think coaching and management are something that like were put together in the olden days. And now what we're starting to see are people getting exposed. People like Arteta, who can probably talk well, but he doesn't really know how to coach. Lampard can probably talk well because he's it's Lampard, he's our legend, but he can't coach. Emery, same thing. Tuchel is a good coach. He cannot manage, right? Pochettino can do both. He's one of the rare young up-and-comers that are like the old school guys. I agree with everything you said about Arsenal positioning. Pepe needs to go. Shaka, not Saka, needs to go. Nketiah needs to be loaned out because for me he's garbage. Moise Keane, if you wanted a striker, we could have got him to shoot, to shoehorn him in.
Moise,
man. I don't want him now. All I'm saying is we had a lot of opportunities to get a striker because apparently we didn't want to play Aubameyang as a striker, which for me,
weird reason.
But again, an attacking winger, and we can do it because we can get rid of some good money, man. Pepe can go back to France. Well, France. France.
Now, man. No French team has that kind of money. He's too expensive now. It would be a massive loss for.
Just get him off the squad. Pull the Madrid with bills. We'll pay the wages.
I'm not saying Emery is a world-class manager. I'm just saying that he got He just talking about his Arsenal career. He doesn't get some of the credit that he deserves. Arsenal was a point away from Champions League and one terrible game in Baku away from winning the Europa League, right? And this is a testament to Emery. That's all. And in terms of Guendouzi, I do agree he's not there as yet. He just plays a position of need that Arsenal needs right now. But here's my problem with Arteta. Arteta had a problem with Guendouzi, and he comes out and talks about non-negotiables, right? How is Xhaka still playing? Like, how some of these players that still continue to play for Arsenal, Willian, it took him till Martinelli coming back for him to drop Willian. To me, it's that you're making the same mistakes that your predecessor made, right? That's my only issue with Arteta right now is I don't believe he has the balls to be Arsenal manager. Tactically, he's done things over the last 2.5 weeks, which is in the right direction. We'll see how the next month goes. Arsenal actually has a very good schedule in January, and we've come to a point where we can actually sign a player or two, right? Of 3 wins. So we'll see where Arteta goes. I'm not fully sold on him as yet. I do think Emery's a better manager than Arteta, but that's not saying much either.
Okay, I'll leave. I'll let that one slide. That was well said.
I do want to say one last thing. This is primarily for Joel. Is the last Tottenham trophy? I did look it up. Was the EFL Cup in 2008. Okay.
I'm sorry, we lost you there, man. Can you repeat that?
The last Tottenham.
In what?
Last Tottenham trophy. You got me. EFL Cup 2008.
Yeah,
okay.
The Carling Cup.
Jeez.
Prior to that, if you want to go to a real trophy or closer to a real trophy, you're looking at 1991, and that's the FA Cup.
The FA Cup.
At least we were born.
They just want to. They just want to see them do this. That's it.
Ain't gonna happen.
And that way they can get some more money for Bill. I mean, what's his name? For Kane. Oh my goodness.
It's actually funny because when Tottenham won that trophy in 91, the season after, George Graham, Arsenal manager at the time, was kicked out because it found out that he was gambling on the side, and Tottenham signed him as manager. And Tottenham thought that they were going to go on this magical run, which never happened. George Graham's still one of the finest managers in England. And then fast forward 15 years later, Arsenal does the same thing to Tottenham, where we signed their best player, who ends up being one of the Invincibles, and Tottenham tries again.
Yeah.
So
that was That was an amazing signing. Anyhow,
Is that why Tottenham fans continue to post the whole Kane was actually an Arsenal youth player?
He was an academy player.
Bitter, huh?
That's right. Yeah.
But they're not going to go on being. They're not going to go on being for a season with him, so they can post that up till I die. To be real.
That is true, though. I know it's funny because we all said, because Kels, you were in the group chat and you said no one actually picked United to be top of the table.
Well, in fairness, I said Liverpool would be top of the league on Jan 1st, which they are.
Oh
yeah.
United, if the league finishes today, United doesn't win.
Yeah, because I had some faith in like Tottenham. I felt like Tottenham was that belief was gonna carry them through, but yeah,
I didn't think they would win the season, but I was like, they could just keep it. It was like 3 weeks. Like, they could just win for 3 more weeks. A lot of people are doing this. Arsenal's doing it. Whatever.
That game against Tottenham's last game, was it? No, the one before the 3-0 against Leeds. The one against where like Mourinho just like packs up shop, like literally like halftime and Dembele out. Just put. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And it was funny because the commentators at the time, they had kind of, after that goal was scored, they were like, oh, we could definitely see Mourinho taking Dembele off and bringing Sissoko or something. And the other guy was like, no. And that was exactly what happened.
That was the Wolves game, right? 1-1.
And he scored that one goal and it was just, close up shop, man. Just close it up till I'm like, come on. And that's the thing, like I would take Ole any day over Mourinho, man. Because the Mourinho that at least United got, that was some boring football. Like, yeah, United, we might not have a style of play, but we score goals. So
it didn't have Bruno though, in his defense. Didn't have Bruno.
Or Son, or Kane, or Hazard.
Mourinho's a great manager, man.
Go through this, man. Like that United squad.
This guy just loves Ole. What is it with you and Ole? That's wild. Right time. No, Joel, man.
Oh, Joel.
No, I said I wanted Mourinho at Arsenal, and I got hated on by so many Arsenal fans for saying that. Right? Mourinho is a serial winner. You may not like him, but he wins, right? And I think Arsenal needs some of that, right? Like we haven't really won anything.
And I think as well, Mourinho has been he's underrated with one key category: how he leads teams. The way he leads teams, they continue to win, and not even like it's not even like he breaks the mentality or everybody's like, oh, he's bad. The dressing room is in shambles. I mean, it didn't seem like the dressing room was in shambles when Ole took over with United. What about when he left Chelsea twice? When he left Real Madrid, what happened? I mean, we can keep going on, man. Mourinho he builds teams, not just squads. He builds teams, and it actually is a very underrated quality of his. That is, I feel like we should call that out.
Yeah, and I think I told Charles that too last time. Was I think Charles agreed with me that arguably I think Mourinho is, after Alex Ferguson, probably the most successful football coach we've seen. You know what I mean? Just in terms of what he's won, like what he's done for every team that he's gone to, right? Like, so yeah, I definitely will give. I just feel like we're judging Mourinho on today, right? Like that's why. But in terms of what he's done for the game, I don't think there really is that many managers that can say they've done what he's done.
You know what? I think Mourinho would kill it in international soccer. I think Mourinho. I think you know who should grab Mourinho internationally? England.
Well, you're in the documentary.
I'm telling you.
In his documentary, that he will never do international soccer.
Yeah, I know he said that.
He's like I love
international soccer. That's the problem.
In fairness, I think Arsene would have been a great international manager too.
He actually would.
And my wish was he left Arsenal 7 years ago so that he could manage someone internationally, and we could have actually got a good manager.
Maybe he could have managed Nigeria. Like we probably would have done a lot better in the World Cup.
Oh, that's facts, man. Yo, he should go coach. He should go coach in the U.S., man. He'd be there forever.
Do you know what? That's actually a good point, man. Imagine if you coach Nigeria though. He would just basically go to the banlieues and find all the Nigerian French players and just bring them to Nigeria. Just say, hey guys, you're playing for me now.
He would find every player that can play in every position and then take them and play them all on the left wing.
You know all the English brothers like your Charles and stuff that born in England, so they end up going play for England. Arsene Wenger will convince them, man, to like, yo, you know what? Forget about that. Playing for England, come through. We'll show you the way.
Yeah, that's what Cameroon needed for Mbappe. If Cameroon had Wenger when Mbappe was coming up, they'd probably be killing it right now.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing that showed. There was this thing I was watching. I think it was on YouTube that apparently Africa has like the most soccer players, like talent-wise. It's Africa. I think it was South America, and then like in Europe was like Holland. Because think about all the black top soccer players right now. They're all from 90% of them are all from Africa that were born in Europe. Like when you think like it's, and they're saying if all those players actually play for their countries, Africa could have a World Cup.
I mean, it'd be France. It'd be the French team.
Yeah, right? Basically, yeah.
But and that's just francophone Africa. Yeah, look at that team: Kylian Mbappe, N'Golo Kante,
mostly Western Africa. Yeah, mostly Western Africa for sure.
Could be England too. Yeah. Brexit. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah. Apparently, I heard the under 21s are gone now. They said.
Oh, word!
They're like Great Britain or something, or they under 21?
Yeah, because of the visas, right? So it's going to change how they can just have underage players coming into England. So that's going to affect their development because now they can't just get someone from South America at 16. So I think that's really they're saying that's going to really impact the development, but who knows?
I love it. England will continue to be singing this song this year. Coming home. It's never coming
Euros,
home.
Yeah.
The only thing that's coming home is Billings golf clubs.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, it's been fun, man. It's almost been 2 hours. Wow. But we've had a good conversation, man. This has been fun. And Charles and I just wanted to, bring everybody who had been on the show. My buddy Eve, he's in Dubai right now, escaping the lockdown in Paris. So,
okay.
Well, this guy's he's having fun. He was going to come on, but it would have been his, I think 3 a.m. So I was like, bro, that's some dedication, man. It's all good. So other than that, man, we really appreciate you guys, man. You guys have really been amazing and being very supportive, and hopefully we can have a bigger 2021 ahead of us. So, but hopefully our teams can do well, and hopefully we can see our teams in the top 6 at least.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll see you post the next Classico.
The next Classico? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's March or February.
Oh, geez, that's
I'll leave you with this. Arteta told Willian that if you sign for Arsenal, we'll win the Champions League in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
This could be the start. This could be the start.
I'm going to leave you with that false hope as we start 2021.
Thank God.
It's not too late, though. You're only 3 points away from 5th, so it's not too late.
Yeah, but he said win Champions League.
Oh, win the Champions League. Okay. Well, you've got to make the Champions League to win it. They make the Champions.
William didn't get that either because he obviously signed. So.
Yeah. What were his options?
Yeah, literally. He just came. It was a payday. That was literally it. And Aubameyang, the same thing too. He knew if I didn't sign this contract and I went to Barcelona, I'll probably be on the bench. So, as well as sign this contract being in London, playing for one of the biggest teams, right? So sometimes
you wouldn't be on the bench in Barcelona. Barcelona would just still be losing. just like Arsenal. So it
Well,
would have been.
probably would, right? Because are you going to bench Messi and what's his name, Griezmann for
Oh yeah,
Aubameyang?
but they don't have a striker because they let go of Suarez, right? So he definitely would have been starting.
Suarez is a early shoo-in for best signing of 2020, by the way.
Yeah, which arguably too, I think Suarez was probably the best signing that like the same impact that Bruno has made for United. I'll say the only other player that I can remember, at least my time of watching, I think Luis Suarez for Liverpool.
Yeah.
That
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Amazing.
360 man onto the Jared slip. That was literally it. That's all that ruined that season. So hopefully we don't get the Jared slip or the Bruno slip this time around. Hopefully. But anyways, guys, it's been fun.
As well, right? Eric Haaland went from Leipzig to Borussia for like 20 mil. That was a solid signing too.
Yeah.
That was the same time as Bruno. Yeah. Imagine if United got Bruno and Haaland. That would be.
It would be a ride.
Yeah, that would be nuts. But yeah, guys, definitely been fun. Hope you guys have a good week, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
All
All right,
hey,
guys,
take it easy.